Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Fundamental Games game playthrough. Actually, this is a training session, how to play session for Questeros, the solitaire version, which is actually called Hero's Quest. So, what is Hero's Quest? Well, first talk about Questeros. Questeros is a multiplayer trick-taking card game that is built upon the foundation of a tarot deck, evolved into high fantasy with a few other elements in there. And I know there's been some discussion on the use of this as a logo and why that is to be. So let's take a look at that before I dive into gameplay. Questeros is got a cover art piece designed as a palindrome. So what is a palindrome? It is a upside down reversible ambigram. So ambigram traditionally is a word that can be spelt the same front to back. So we took the word Questeros and reversed it to still spell Questeros. So turning a Q into an S and an S into a Q is not entirely easy. Same with an E and an R. But thanks to the innovation of John and some other sources that we found, we were able to make it happen. So thank you, John DeCampos, the artist for this game, and given some great theme and energy into this project. But the palindrome, as you can see, you put it upside down and it still will read Questeros if you can decipher that word. And I realize many people are not fond of that, but it's something that we're going after, and I particularly enjoy that palindrome there. Anywho, Hero's Quest. So who is Hero? Hero is the jester of the game. The jester is one of the 22 quest cards, or in tarot deck it would be a major arcana, and normally he doesn't have much power. He actually destroys every quest that he's part of. But in Hero's Quest, he truly does want to complete a quest. And his goal is to progress through this deck of major arcana or quest creatures to eventually defeat the dragon who's threatening the entire world, as you can see thematically or visually through this picture. So he's going to progress and encounter the necromancer, the centaur, the assassin, and the order of the magi. He's going to visit all these different people, and in some of them he will be begging for help or getting trained, and others he will be defeating to continue on his quest. And the way this game works is it's kind of built upon a foundation of growing your abilities through a solitaire-esque method, but through a lot of personal decision making as you go along. And so the way it'll work is you play as the jester. So the card would normally go in the center here. I got rid of the card just to have the image on the table. But the jester hero goes in the center of the table. To his right, you begin with the One of Swords. And so it just represents you starting off very weak, little goblin, don't know much about the world, don't know much about fighting, but determined to learn to fulfill your quest that is bestowed upon you by this lovely warlock. In addition to your One of Swords, you're going to start with 10 health cards. And you'll see here right now they're represented by icons, but in the final version of the game, all these icons will actually be individual art for every card. But as it stands now, we have 1 through 10, and those are each represent their same value of health. So I don't just have 10 health, I have the equivalent of all of these new numbers of health. But they go in a stack. So I have 1 through 10 here. In addition, I start with 3 coins. Now, if you want to play an easier mode of the game, you could start with up to 5 coins. Each coin you start with beyond the first, it makes the game easier. So if I wanted to make the game harder, I could actually just start with 1 coin, just start with 1, 1, 1. And then there is one hidden unlearned skill that Hero will develop very early on in the game, and that is the power to use magic. He will be given a staff by a mentor and be taught how to wield magic in order to influence the game. And don't worry, these 4 card art images will be redone by John. These images were just drawn by me as a way to envision it in the goblin's hands. But anyway, we start without magic. Okay, so what else do we start with? Well, we start with the quest deck. 21 cards are in a stack sequenced from 1 up to 21, with the dragon being last. And so every one of these cards is going to be faced at some point in the game. You'll see here they're all going to be written out as to what they each do and how you get past them. And then you have the fate deck, or your your deck that you're going to start the game with. It'll be with 41 cards. If you ever run out of deck, you will lose the game unless the card that your quest card that you're facing says otherwise. So your deck is a limited resource. The other way you would lose the game is if you don't have enough health to defeat or to survive an encounter that you fight. All right, and keep in mind that some of the rules to this game are subject to change, and particularly the magic. I want to add some kind of intentional but semi-random element to it to make magic more mysterious and different purpose than just fighting. But for now, as it plays, I'm using it just as a combat addition. Okay, so what happens in the game? Well, we start the game with 5 cards in hand, so we're going to use this as our card playing area. When you're playing the game, you could just hold the cards in your hand, of course, but when I'm showing somebody a game on screen, a whole lot easier if I can have you envision what's in the game. And some of this card art is temporary that I've drawn, or icons that John's provided that I've embellished onto the cards. Okay, so I start with 5 cards in my hand, and then each turn I can take different actions. So if we take a look at the rules here, each turn I am allowed to take 7 different actions. Each action I can only take once, and once the end of day hits, when I choose that action, I basically reset everything. So each turn I can do these different things. First thing I can do is develop. So what is develop? Develop is that solitaire improvement that I kind of talked about. So what that means is my pentacles, my swords, and my magic, if I have the next highest value card in my hand, I can choose to develop it onto that particular skill or stat. So here I could improve my combat by placing a 2 over the 1 as one of my actions. Now you can see here I happen to have the 3 card. I got lucky with this draw, but I actually couldn't play that until I've had a chance to rest, because I can only develop once per turn. So that's the first action I can do. The next action I could do, and again these don't have to be in sequence, I can do them in any order. I can purchase something. So I can use a coin card, and we'll do that as an example right now. I'm going to use my, I can pick whichever coin I want to use at any time, and I can still grow from there. So I'm going to use my 3 coin card. So what happens when I do that is I get to draw 3 cards, and then I can, well, I don't draw 3 cards. I look at the top 3 cards of the Fate deck, and then I get to pick one of these cards and put it into my hand. The other cards I put on the bottom of the deck. So I am going to grab this 3 of Staves, hoping that I can develop my magic a bit further. And then these 2 cards I'm going to place underneath my quest deck, or my Fate deck. I'll put that deck back there. So that there, you can see I rotated the card. That means that card is used. I cannot use that card again unless I recover it or unuse it. But that's a different action. Okay. So I've showed you the develop action. I've showed you the purchase action. The next one is a forget action. The forget action is kind of like I'm a young, naive goblin in the world. I have no idea how I'm going to ever defeat a dragon. And there's some things that I just don't think I need to know right now, especially since my little brain can't fit much more than what's in it. So I can choose as an action to discard any number of cards from my hand and put them in the discard pile as one of my actions. And you might wonder why I'd want to do that. Well, you'll see in a moment. So let's say at this point in time, I don't think it's important to have this 8 of Pentacles. I don't think I'm going to get that for a while. So I'm going to put this into the discard pile. But I can discard as many cards as I want. So I could also discard the 3 of Magic, or 3 of Staves, 4 of Staves, my 3 of Swords, or my King of Swords. I will choose to discard the King of Swords. So I discarded 2 cards. So that was my forget option. The next one I could do is a learn action. So I can draw cards until I have 5 cards in my hand. The fewer cards I have when I perform this action, the more cards I'm able to draw. So now that I've forgotten a few things, I can fit more in my head. My little goblin brain can learn something. So I'm going to choose to use that action now, which means that I don't draw 5 cards. I just draw up until I have 5 cards in my hand again. So I draw those 2 cards. All right, look at all that magic I have. I've got a really good starting hand here, I think, to learn and evolve. More so than you might normally, considering that a lot of these cards could be mixed into the deck. But so that's that action. Next action I have as an option, and again, any order you want, I don't have to do them in these orders, I just happen to be doing that this turn, is the encounter action. So I can choose to face whatever the next quest card is in the quest stack, and I have to meet its criteria if I choose to face it. So if I chose to face the Warlock, I would refer to the encounter information here, and it says the Warlock, I must place 1 to 4 cards of different types under that Warlock, then set them aside. But it says different types. So what it means by different types is I could only have 1 Pentacles card, 1 Cup card, 1 Sword card, and 1 Stave card for my hand. I couldn't put them all, I couldn't put 3 Stave cards under the Warlock. And so basically the Warlock is guiding me, he's telling me what I should be doing. Maybe he's holding me back in a few ways by taking some of my knowledge away. But I'm going to offer this Warlock my Queen of Swords. That's all I'm going to give him, because I know that I basically lost that card for quite some time, if not forever. So I give him that card, and now I set him to the side. Normally completed quest would go in the completed quest pile, but it specifically says he gets set aside because he may play a role in the game later in my quest. The Warlock, kind of like Gandalf. When Gandalf goes away, he comes back. When the Warlock goes away, there's a chance he comes back. Alright, so that was another action. And then the next action I can do during my turn is called Recover. I can destroy any card numbered 11 to 14 from my hand to return a matching type of card in my play area to its unused state, noting that a matching card is equal to the sum of the 2 digits on the card. So if I happen to have a 14 of Pentacles, a 12 of Pentacles, 1 plus 2 equals 3, I could actually recover this card by doing that. Now I don't have a card in my hand to discard that meets that criteria, nor do I need to right now, so I am going to skip that option this turn. And then the final action I can take, and again I don't have to do every one of these actions and I can do them in any order, but the final option I have is to end the day. And so to do that I would proceed to the rest step, in which I must take a card from the top of the deck and place it in the discard pile, and then all of my actions are refreshed to begin a new turn. So what that means is I would take the top card, regardless of what it is, I don't know what it is, and I would just throw it in the discard pile. A day's gone by, time's gone by, I only have so much time before the dragon rules the world, and so we have to understand that that is a side effect of not continuing and progressing through the game, as you will run out of time eventually. Okay, so we're starting a new turn. Eero the Jester has found a sword to make him a little bit stronger. He's now got to face against the Mentor at some point, so it's good to know before you plan out your turn, what is the next encounter going to be? Well, the Mentor, I must give them a magic card of any value, and when I do, I can take the 1 magic card from underneath Eero and place it above the magic location. So normally when you start the game, this card would be under Eero. I put it here just for visual. But in order to get that magic training, in order for Mentor to give me this staff and teach me how to use magic, I must first give her some knowledge from my mind, some knowledge about magic to prove that I know. Now, once I give her that magic, I will never get it back. So basically, whatever card I give her is going to be I'm not going to be able to go past that value because it kind of limits my solitaire capability. So given that I have all low magic cards in my hand, or stave cards, I'm not going to encounter her just yet. I'm going to start with the develop ability. So I'm going to develop my sword to a 3 because I have a 1 and a 2. And even if my 2 were rotated, I could still play my 3, but it's not. So now I've got 3 cards left in my hand. I think I am going to choose to draw up to 5 cards. So I'm going to use the the learn mechanic, or the learn action. So the learn action gets me to draw 2 cards. Somehow I ended up with a page staves, which I should not have. There should only be 1 in the deck, and it should be right there. So I forgot I made that. I'll have to delete that particular card. I'll draw 1 more. Here we go. What? Another? Oh, I see what I did there. Control Z. This is not a 1 of staves. That's why the 1 of staves is colored. This is a page of staves. If you look at the top left, this is an 11 card. All right. So that's okay that I drew that card. I like that. Okay. I think now I'm going to use the encounter ability. I'm actually going to give the mentor this 11 card. So when it comes to your stacks here, you can never go higher than 10 on any one of these abilities. So an 11 would never actually be used to grow or develop. It would be used to recover or to attack. And I think it's worthwhile to give the mentor my page of staves to bypass her, and then she will teach me this magic skill. So I'm happy to have learned that. Thank you, mentor. Much appreciated for letting me into your grove of knowledge and showing me the power that magic has. So that's great. I've already done my learn. I don't really feel like I want to forget right now. I don't think I need to purchase anything just yet. So I'm going to actually end the turn because I'm not allowed to encounter the next card until I've had a rest. Time has to pass before I can move on out of the gardens and into the forest. So I will discard the top card of the Fate deck. There's a Knight of Staves, and I will progress on to my next turn. So go on to my next turn. I have all my actions back, which means I'm allowed to develop again. I'm going to develop my magic this turn. Develop that. And then I'll read what the Centaur wants me to do. The Centaur says if I give them a card of any type from one of my stacks in play, then I can search my deck and discard pile for any card of the same value to put in my hand. So I could give them my 3 of coins. I could give them any numbered health card, which is usually what you will sacrifice. I could give them a 1 or 2 of swords because I can still build higher if I gave away something lower. So I have a couple choices here. But in order to get past her, I have to give her one card from one of my stacks. So I'm feeling pretty good about the magic. I think it would be nice to get my 4 of swords, even though I've already developed this turn. So what I'm going to do is dig out my 4 of cups. It's going to hurt to lose 4 health, but I'm going to give her that 4 health card and throw those in the completed quest pile because actually she goes in here too. We'll do it this way. So there's nothing that said that those 2 stick around, so we'll throw them in there. Completed the Centaur quest, but what she says is whatever card I discard, I'm allowed to look through the deck and discard pile for any card of the same value and place it in my hand. So I got rid of the 4 of cups because I wanted to search for the 4 of swords, and that went right into my hand. So it's nice to get that. Thank you, Centaur, which is the Empress in a traditional tarot deck. Thank you for showing me the way and endowing me with a new skill. The sacrifice I made was not in vain. What else can we do? Well, I've already developed this turn, so I cannot develop. This card should actually be in my hand. I haven't learned yet, but you only want to learn so much before you worry about time running out further down the road. I'll read the next quest card. I can't do the next quest till after this day is over. As a Dwarf King, I'm going to have to give him a sword of any value. If it's an 11 or higher, I get the dwarf as an ally. So maybe I will do my learn mechanic. I'll see if there's anything worthwhile here. A 9 of staves. Not very useful at this point in time. So I will use my forget mechanic and I will forget about my 9 of staves. Just so maybe I can draw a card later. I haven't fought yet. I don't have anything to recover. So we will move on to the next day. I will discard that. It was my 7 of staves. And we're on to a new day. So if I want to encounter the Dwarf King, I have to give him a sword. But if I give him a high enough sword, he becomes my ally because I've shown how strong and tough I am and I'm worthwhile of his support. So I'm actually going to spend this 2 coin to draw 2 cards into my, well, look at the top 2 cards and choose one to put in my hand. I will choose to put the 4 coins in my hand. The other one goes to the bottom of the deck. And then I'm allowed to develop at any point. I can develop 1 card. So I can develop my magic. I could develop my sword that I gained. I think I already developed this turn, didn't I? Yeah, I can't develop until another day passes. So no, I cannot develop. I cannot learn because I have 5 cards in my hand. I don't want to forget. Do I want to cap out my swords to continue on my journey so I don't run out of time, or do I want to hope that maybe, just maybe, I will draw? You know what? We're going to let the day pass. There's nothing else I want to do right now, so we're going to rest up. I have to discard the Queen of Spades, and I'm on to a new day. In this new day, I'm going to develop my 4 of coins, and then I'm going to immediately purchase. So I'm going to get that money and spend it right away. Then I will draw 4 cards, or look at the top 4 cards and choose one to put in my hand. I'm going to choose the Knight of Swords to put into my hand. The other 3 will go to the bottom of the deck. So we'll just flip this over and throw these on here. Alright. Deck is flipped over. And then I'm actually going to give that Knight of Swords to the Dwarf King, but because it's over 10, it's an 11 to 14 card, he becomes my ally. And he's going to be able to join me in combat once in the game if I wish. So that's a nice bonus to have. Except that I moved him all over there, so let's put that back. My ally back here. So I know the next quest I'm going to fight is the Necromancer, and the Necromancer is actually a battle. And if I defeat him, I can take any card from the discard pile and put it in my hand. So I'll show you how combat works once we get to him. I spent all my money. I've already developed this turn. I could draw to get myself up to 5 cards. I could discard. I choose not to do either of those. So we will end the turn, which means I must lose another day. Another card goes in there. Now we're on to the next day. And so the brave hero ventures forth into the skeletal catacombs that the Necromancer has created, along with his zombie henchman, and I go into battle with it. When I enter battle with a quest, so if I encounter a quest card that is identified as needing a battle, the Necromancer says I must defeat the Necromancer in combat, then I must take as much damage as their card value. So in this case, I take 5 damage immediately. When I take damage, I have to lose that many, or use that many health points. Again, each card is worth the number of points shown on it. So I've got a fair amount of health options here. To keep it simple, I'm just going to rotate my 5 of cups. So now that card has been used. I got hit for 5 damage. Now I'm allowed to counterattack. When I want to fight back, I'm allowed to use 1 sword card of my choice and 1 magic card of my choice and add the values together to deal that much damage to my opponent. And then if I have an ally, I can remove them from the game to play them. Or if I have a card in my hand that is magic swords or staves, I can discard a card that is valued 11 to 14 to get their applicable bonus. So I don't have one of those right now. So I'm going to rotate my 3 of swords and my 2 of staves to do 5 damage right away to the Necromancer to defeat him. If I hadn't defeated him in the first hit, if I hadn't dealt that 5 damage to him, he would get to attack me again. So a lot of incentive to try to take him down in a single hit if you can. Now the Necromancer says that when I hit him, I get to take any card from the discard pile and put it into my hand. So I can take a look through here and see, is there something in here that I could use to my advantage? And I think this 13 of cups could help me heal, or I could take a card that'll help me with combat. Given that I'm about to go into another combat with a succubus, I am actually going to take this Queen of Staves, which will give me a little boost in combat if I choose to use it. So we take that. I could discard. I'm going to choose not to. I could recover. I don't have a card I want to recover with, because this Queen of Staves I could use to be recovering this 2-point card, or I can use it as a bonus attack card to deal 4 damage in combat. I'll show you that in a second. I don't want to use any coins. I've only got a 1 of coins, so I'm pretty content with where I'm at. But I cannot go fight the succubus yet because it's been a long day and taking out a necromancer took a while. So I discard a card into the discard pile, and we continue and start a new day. Eero got out of the catacombs and traveled further in the world, and came upon 2 lovers that were entangled by this powerful succubus. And not knowing if they would be helpful or hinder him later on in his life, Eero's Goblin recognized the succubus as a danger to the world anyhow, and has to defeat it. Now, before that, I could use my develop action, so I will do that. I'm going to develop my 3 of magic. Develop my magic with 3. All right. And then here's the danger of having really good cards early in the game, because the succubus is actually going to make me destroy 2 cards from my hand. So I have to pick 2 cards that are in my hand and choose to destroy them. Destroy is different than discard. They are removed from the game, so they go into this exile pile. I'm going to destroy that magic card that I just got. And I will destroy the 7 of swords. I probably won't get that high, so I think it's safe to discard that. So that succubus, I may have, knowing that I was going to encounter her, I might manipulate my hand differently in a future game. But at this point, she took me by surprise, and my future has changed. Not only that, she's going to do 6 damage to me. So somewhere down here, I got to take 6 damage. So make it easy. We'll just take this 6 and rotate it. And I take my 6 damage. Now I get to attack myself. I'm going to power in with a dwarf. We'll throw him in the discard pile. He's going to do 4 damage on his own, and then I'll do 2 more damage with my 1 of swords and my 1 of magic. So I can only use 1 of each card. So it's a total of 6 damage. So the succubus is defeated. There is no perk to defeating the succubus other than getting past her. So that was unfortunate. The turn is not over yet, though. I have developed, I have encountered. I don't have anything to heal with, but I can recover or learn. I'm going to learn by drawing 3 cards because I can draw up to 5 cards. I feel confident that there's quite a few cards left in the deck, so I don't think I'll deck myself before the deck of fate arrives. We go to the next round because there's nothing else I want to do right now. So now I can develop. I'm going to develop my magic again. So bring my magic up to a 4, getting stronger, learning more as I come through this world, learn from the enemies I've defeated and the heroes I encounter. I'm going to take a look at what the paladin does. If I want to get past the paladin, I must give him a cup card of any value, and then I set the paladin and that card aside. If it's an 11 or higher, I can recover up to 3 health. I don't have an 11 or higher cup, and I don't know if I want to wait for that, so I just have to prove to the paladin that I am faithful. Actually, I don't have a cup at all, so I can't do that right now. Because it's supposed to be from my hand, not from the... Oh no, it can be from my hand or the table. That's the idea behind the paladin. But you can only get an 11 or higher from your hand. So I will... It has to be an unused cup card. So I'm going to give him the 1 of cups. And I'm going to get past the paladin. Thank you, paladin. What else could I do this turn? I already developed. I could purchase a card for 1, but considering I can learn a card without having to purchase it, that would be my first option if I wanted to. I will learn. Alright, we've got a 10 of staves. I'm going to choose to forget about that card. And there's nothing I can recover. So we will end the turn because I cannot fight or see the Valkyrie yet. I will discard the top card of the deck to end their turn. I've got 16 cards left. The Valkyrie says that I can give her 1 to 3 cards of any type from my hand. So I could give her all swords or 1 of each suit or something like that. I can give her 1, 2, or 3 cards, and then I search my discard pile for the same types of cards, not the same rank of cards, just the same type. So if I gave her a 7 of Pentacles and an 8 of Swords, I could put those on her, and then what she lets me do is search my discard pile for the same types of cards and place them in the hand. So I can take 1 Pentacles and 1 Sword card from my discard pile. So let's take a look here. I don't have a sword, so, oh yes I do. So I'm basically trading cards from my discard pile for what I gave her. So I gave her that, and I gave her a Pentacles, so I could take this 11 of Pentacles and put it in my hand. Right. Or the 8 of Pentacles, but I don't think I need that. So that's what we did with her. Still on the same turn. I haven't drawn a card this turn, so I'm going to learn, and then I'm going to use my 1 coin to draw a card, and then I keep the top card. So I'm actually up to 6 cards now. Now, one thing I haven't done yet this game is recover. I can destroy an 11 to 14 value card from my hand to return a matching type of card or cards in my play area to unused state. So this 14, this King of Pentacles, when I discard it, it's worth the value of 5. It actually gets destroyed. So I can heal 5 coins worth. So I can do a 4 and a 1. I can recover those. They're back to their full capacity again. Alright, and if I wanted to, I could spend these coins and use the coin action, but I'm going to choose not to. Now, I've already... one thing I forgot to read was the Deck of Fate. As soon as the Deck of Fate is uncovered, I must end my turn, shuffle my hand and discard pile, and draw it together to reform the deck and draw 5 cards. So that would happen after I finish the Valkyrie, but before I am able to use any cards. So I would actually have had to not do that. I wouldn't have had time for that because it was as soon as the Deck of Fate was revealed. So we're going to rotate those back. I feel sad about the whole situation, and that's okay. So all of these would have gone, and so I would have planned that out better. Basically it says I shuffle everything I had in the discard and draw pile, put it back into my deck, and then I draw 5 cards. Now, one thing I realized is that my deck was out of sequence, because there should be a druid in here who is number 9. That should have come before 10. So. Alright, so we're halfway through the game. You've learned a little bit about the stacking mechanics, the using mechanics, the rotating mechanics. There are going to be a lot more things to encounter in the game, and I don't want to spoil the whole game for you because maybe you want to give it a try yourself. It's free on Tabletop Simulator. But you'd fight through the Ranger and the Assassin, the Death Knight, the Fairies, Demon, Order of Magi, Blade, Shadow, Face. What do they do? Only one way to find out, and that's to read the rules and play the game. The Bard may or may not assist you, and then you finish off with the Dragon. So you'll progress through your own personal story through every one of these cards, seeing if you can build up your character strong enough in magic and combat, having enough health to survive attacks from the many creatures that you have to duel on the deck. And how could you possibly take down the 21 power dragon at the end of the deck? Well, you need to get some support, maybe from some allies or some recovery along the way. So if you get a chance, check out Questeros, give it a try on Tabletop Simulator. This game is going to be coming to Kickstarter in early 2021. We're working on more artwork and finessing the game rules, not only this version, which is the solitaire solo version, but also the multiplayer trick-taking game. And of course, it also is a fully functional tarot deck. If you look at the iconography on the cards and match them up with the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck descriptions and images, you'll see that many facets of those cards are presented on these, from some of the coloring to some of the images to the stances to the visualizations, and even in the clouds here you can see some of the astrological symbols. There's just so much going on, and I really hope that you can learn more about Questeros and fall in love with it like I am as I build it. So thank you for watching. I plan to go through a full game of this in the future, but just wanted to share with you some insights into how this game works to start with. All right, close this off and have a wonderful day.